forest seemed to pulse with a life of its own as we stood over the fallen boars, their massive forms steaming in the cool morning air. The dogs, still wired from the chase, circled nervously, their ears twitching at every rustle in the underbrush. Clara wiped blood from her knife, her eyes scanning the tree line. "They're not done with us," she said, her voice low but steady. Marcus, still catching his breath, checked his thermal scope, the faint glow illuminating his face. Alex kicked at a hoof print in the dirt, deeper than any we'd seen yet. "These tracks are fresh," he muttered. "There's another group close," I nodded, feeling the weight of the rifle in my hands. The drone footage from last night had shown heat signatures, dozens of them, converging in a valley a mile north. This wasn't just a herd anymore. It was migration, a relentless push toward the farmlands. The farmers were counting on us, their fields already scarred from nightly raids. This was no longer just a hunt, it was a war. We gathered our gear, checked the dogs, and moved out, following the fresh tracks through a narrow trail choked with ferns and thorny vines. The fog had lifted, but the forest canopy blocked most of the sunlight, casting everything in a dim, greenish haze. Every snap of a twig, every flutter of leaves put us on edge. The dogs led the way, Rusty's nose low to the ground, his growls a constant warning. After 30 minutes, the trail opened into a rocky gully, its walls steep and slick with moss. At the bottom, a shallow stream gurgled, its banks torn up by hoofprints and churned mud. This was a choke point, a perfect ambush spot. "Spread out," I whispered, motioning for the team to take positions along the gully's rim. Clara and Marcus climbed to the left, their boots slipping on the wet rocks. Alex and I took the right, crouching behind a cluster of boulders. The dogs were leashed for now, their whines barely audible. I peered through my scope, scanning the shadows below. Nothing yet, but the air felt heavy, charged with the promise of chaos. Then we heard it, a low, guttural grunt, followed by the crunch of branches. The dogs stiffened, their hackles rising. From the far end of the gully, A massive boar emerged, its hide scarred and bristling, its tusks long and curved like scythes. Behind it came others 10, then 15, then 20, moving in a tight, disciplined formation. This wasn't a random group. They were led, organized, driven by the massive male at the front. Its eyes glinted with a cunning we hadn't seen before, scanning the gully as if it knew we were there. Take the leader, I said, my voice barely a breath. Break their formation. Alex nodded, his rifle already trained. Clara signaled from across the gully, her hand steady as she aimed. Marcus adjusted his thermal scope, his face pale but focused. I took a deep breath, my crosshairs locked on the leader's shoulder. On 3, I said. 1, 2, 3. The first shot rang out, a sharp crack that echoed off the gully walls. The leader staggered, blood spraying from its side, but it didn't fall. Instead, it roared a sound that shook the ground and charged up the gully, straight toward us. The herd followed, a tidal wave of muscle and fury. We opened fire, the air exploding with gunfire and the frantic barking of the unleashed dogs. I dropped the boar sprinting alongside the leader, then swung my rifle to track another darting toward the stream. Clara's shots were precise, felling 2 in quick succession. Marcus's thermal scope gave him an edge, picking off a boar trying to flank us from the shadows, but the leader kept coming, shrugging off Alex's second shot like it was nothing. It was halfway up the gully now, its hooves tearing through the mud, its eyes locked on our position. The dogs swarmed it, nipping at its flanks, but it tossed them aside with a flick of its massive head. My heart pounded as I reloaded, the click of the magazine deafening in my ears. "Focus fire!" I shouted, aiming for the leader's chest. My shot hit true, and it stumbled, but still it charged, now just 20 meters away. "Move!" Clara yelled, grabbing Marcus and pulling him back as the leader barreled past their position. I fired again, the bullet slamming into its neck. It roared, slowing, but didn't stop. Alex stepped forward, his rifle steady, and fired a clean, hard shot. The beast collapsed, sliding to a stop in a cloud of dust and blood.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.